We have one right over here.
Hi, thank you. Very nice presentations. I know regarding the guidances related to the nitrosamine, we all know, as you said, many of these guidances were updated, but took a lot of time. So some of the things I would be proposing is to do proactively. One is, maybe you can take this message to the team that we are still not clear about the pathway of what happens if we find something that is higher than the CPCA in the rail guidance and have a justification. Because what is happening is they say, go to the drug shortage. Drug shortage is radio silent about it. Like there are drugs where for 1 year people wouldn't hear anything. So now they don't know what to do. They're trying to find their ways. So to find, to give some alternatives, because FDA in the guidance does say that CPCA is not the last word. You can try other things. However, the pathway with that other things are not clear and very difficult, and people are struggling with that. And we are worried that there are certain drugs that will disappear from the face of the earth, if these are not addressed, some very good antibiotics. The other thing is FDA, took a long time to eventually agreed to the LOD, LOQ, which was much more scientific with EMA. In 2020, the guidance, basically they gave a random number based on valsartan, but then EMA already had that calculation, that they have now adopted. So other thing is EMA, Health Canada, and Visa, they have de-risked several nitrosamines based on, the transgenic mice assays and other studies. And it may be a good idea also to take that message that we do need collaboration and, uniform address. It can't be that, people are dying somewhere.
For the sake of time, we do only have 2 minutes.
This is very important, though.
Is there a question that's associated with this?
Is. No, I think let me finish because people need to understand. I'm very sorry. Just let me. Please talk to them that they should try to collaborate with other teams. I'm sorry about this, but this is extremely critical.
And we'll take that note, but for the sake of time, we'll go on to move on to another question.
Thank you. I have a question regarding the nitrosamine. We know that from FDA, we have a NDASLRI database routinely update, and also the guidance expect the industry to monitor this database. So my question is that, is there any specific reaction timeline for the industry after the NDASLRI limits published into the database?
Thank you. That's a good question. So just so I can make sure I understand. So with revisions to the guidance, new nitrosamines are added, and you'd like to understand if there's some timeline kind of flexibilities for those to be addressed. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay. Because we know from the FDA website there is a database for NDASLRI limits. Yeah.
Absolutely. So at this time, we have a August 1, 2025 deadline for manufacturers to address the issue, which would be if you find it in a risk assessment. And typically, if we post something on our webpage that assumes that there is a risk, you would perform some confirmatory testing. I'm not aware of any flexibilities beyond that date at this time. However, if we do have it, again, that emerging scientific and technical issue section on our webpage will be updated to reflect those revisions.
And may I know what if the NDASLRI limits published after August 2025?
It's a good question. I'm expecting that we'll have some considerations for that. We would expect that firms have some time to address the issue. We know that method development can take months, if not years. And so we would make sure that we're flexible with manufacturers if we're to add something after the deadline.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. We'll have one more in-house question, then we'll switch to online. So if you'd like to go.
Hi, I just have a follow-up question of that. So if a drug product manufacturer is unable to complete the confirmatory testing or implement necessary changes by August 1st, 2025, how can a manufacturer proceed with the ongoing operations?
That's a good question. I would recommend that you contact the agency for these issues. perhaps general correspondence to your application, informing us that you need some more time. That will be beneficial for us, and we're happy to work with manufacturers on this because we want to maintain drug supply of these critical medications.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And we'll now take a question from online.
Yes, thank you. This question is for Dr. Kona. For comparative assessments between a generic drug and the RLD, is it mandatory that the RLD be sourced from the US market? Or is it acceptable to use the same RLD product purchased in another country, provided that it is manufactured in the US and marketed under the same brand name?
Thank you for the question. So if I understand, so the question is about can the applicant use the RLD from a different market?
That's correct.
So the agency recommends that the RLD is used from the US market because we don't know, the RLD that was approved in other market, so we don't have any information on the quality of that.
The question specifically says that the RLD be sourced from the US market. And is it acceptable to use the same RLD product purchased in another country, provided that it's manufactured in the US and marketed under the same brand name? I don't know if that puts a little bit of a tweak on the question.
If it is marketed in another country, but it's sourced from the US?
Vice versa. Let me say it again. For comparative assessments between a generic drug and the RLD, is it mandatory that the RLD itself be sourced from the US market? Or is it acceptable to use the same RLD product if purchased in another country, provided that it is manufactured in the US and marketed under the same brand name?
I believe it is acceptable to use from the other market.
Hold on 1 second. So,
Based on US regulations,
it is.
oh, you want me to go on?
Yeah.
No worries. Just stepping in shortly, based on US regulations, it is requirement to utilize a reference listed product that is registered by the FDA in order to establish that bioequivalence. So it is a requirement. It's not about purchasing, it's about being approved and registered through the FDA. Thank you.
And would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Sorry?
Would you mind introducing yourself? Introducing yourself.
Sarah Ibrahim, Associate Director for Stakeholder and Global Engagement, Office of Generic Drugs. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ibrahim. Excellent. Thank you for that response. We'll take the next in-house question, please.
Thank you. Good morning. This is for Dr. Ray. So I work for a Achion lab, contract testing lab. So till now we did over 250 method validations or verifications for both the nitrosamines and NDSRIs. Still, sometimes we do face challenge in achieving 0.03 ppm LOQ or 10% of the specification if it's at a high dose, higher dosage formulation or a category 1 or combination of it. So I would like to seek advice from what is advisable to acceptable to achieve that LOQ, and if we have to include it for routine testing.
Thank you. I'm not a method evaluation expert. We have our colleagues in the Office of Pharmaceutical Quality Research, who I hope I can get a response to you with more detail on this. But I'm aware that there are some methods that you can use to concentrate certain material. And there's ways that you can maintain some level of sensitivity that way. But again, this is not my level of expertise, and I do appreciate that there are challenges that remain when it comes to method sensitivity.
Sure, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And our next in-house question, please.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, my question is regarding the reformulated product to mitigate the NDSRIs submitted as a PAS. So the 1, 2, 3 stability data to be submitted, can it be on the R&D scale batch? Because now we are in a crunch of a time. Is that expected on the registration batches?
I believe you can do, scale batch or registration batches for 3 months.
Yeah. Because we are doing the R&D experimentation first to see the formulation is working out or not. By the time we are confident with the data, if we want to again execute in the plant and wait for the 3 months data, the time is passing, and August 1st is the date for the compliance. So.
That's a good question. I'd say that we would want to see commercial batches, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'll talk with you offline if that's okay, and then we can get some answers for you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Can I get your name?
We'll collect that. Yes. Okay, excellent. We'll go to our next online question this time.
Yeah. My name is Raghu Raman. I'm from Saigen Pharmaceuticals. And yes,
Excellent.
and only one small follow-up question. So August 1st compliance is for the batches manufactured after August 1st. Because you have interim limits for so many products.
I'd say if you manufacture before August 1st, that still works.
No, I'm saying suppose if we have fluoxetine, diltiazem, we have some interim limits. And you have a different limit after August 1st. So what are the batches manufactured before August 1st still
For
be
the
with
sake
the
of
interim
time,
limits?
can we go ahead and switch to our next online question? We'll handle this, we'll discuss it offline. Thank you.
Very interactive session here. All right, this question is for Dr. Cantave. What level of method validation is required for nitrosamine confirmatory testing? It's a two-parter. And can methods be suitable for use at that point and only fully validated if the routine testing is required? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I'd say that method validation, full method validation would be required for routine testing. You can submit that to the agency for review.
Excellent, thank you. We have our next in-house question here.
All right. I just have a question in regards to general NDSRI limits. So in a database, there are quite a few unstable NDSRIs where reference standards are unavailable, and sometimes we can't even develop a method because they're so unstable. So is there any agency directive coming up or anything to help the industry with these unstable impurities?
Yes, thank you for that question. So the nitrosamines that are listed on our webpage are listed as theoretical nitrosamines. So we do understand that concern that they may not necessarily be forming, and these are volatile reactions. So we would accept justification that it's not forming through forced degradation reactions, or you can provide justification that you're unable to purchase a reference standard. That information is very helpful to us, and maybe helpful to communicate to other manufacturers as well, because we are working on potentially removing some of these theoretical nitrosamines from the webpage once we have sufficient evidence that they do not form.
All right. Thank you so much.
Excellent. We'll take our next online question, please.
This question is for Dr. Kaur. What is the form of inquiry for the industry inquiries and the BE proposals shared in the case studies? For example, controlled correspondence, product development meeting, etc.
I think you'll need to make sure the light's red.
Sorry. All these case studies that I presented today were from controlled correspondences.
Thank you.
Excellent. And I think we can take one more online question since seeing some familiar faces here, and then we'll go back to in-house.
Okay, let's go to Dr. Cantave. Let's see. The FDA recommendation for 3 batches with stability for reformulation is interpreted to be applicable to major reformulation changes. Would you confirm that changes to excipients are considered minor and could be submitted in an annual report?
Sorry, can you repeat that question is for?
It's addressed to Dr. Cantave. The FDA recommendation for 3 batches with stability for reformulation is interpreted to be applicable to major reformulation changes. Would you confirm that the changes to excipients are considered minor and could be submitted in an annual report? Anyone is free to answer if it's applicable.
Okay, I can take that question.
Okay, thank you.
Not all the time the changes to excipients are considered minor, so you may refer to the spec guidances. And depending on the level of the change, the requirements of the data are different. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And we'll go to our next in-house question.
I have one more question to Dr. Cantave. For the extractable and leachable nitrosamine impurity from the packaging materials, for the oral solid dosage form, can we consider as a low risk, or we should have further evaluations?
I think I'll defer on that question.
Okay, excellent, thank you. We'll go to our next in-house question.
Hi, Dr. Ray. So could FDA clarify the scientific and the regulatory rationale underlying the derivation of the interim AI limits?
For scientific rationale for derivation of interim AI limits?
Yeah, interim AI limit.
Yeah, I think I'll also defer on that one.
All right, and at that time, we'll go ahead. I think we have time for one more online question if we'd like to take one.
Lots of questions coming in. Let's do Dr. Kaur. What's the FDA's definition of technical grade? For example, if an excipient source change does not impact the approved specification tested per USP with differences in particle size distribution, which is not an approved specifications criterion and not a CMA, is this considered same grade? Dr. Kaur, would you like me to repeat?
That question is for me. Changes in the grade, right? In terms of specifications. So probably I will defer to CMC reviewer, but say for example, you have hypermallows, which comes into various different grades, which may not be considered same. So you have to really look at, they may differ in the viscosity, molecular weight. So can I say the one which has very low viscosity versus one which has very high viscosity is going to behave similarly? Probably not.
Thank you much.
All right, and it looks like that's all the time that we have questions for today. And so if you did have any additional questions that weren't addressed, we'll make sure to give you a contact email address after this that we could have those for any questions that are additional beyond this.